On leading you astray, would you go or stay with the one?
The home of Cadbury's chocolate fingers. The home of Cadbury's animals.
Caramel, Turkish delight.
Chocolate digestive were made here when I started 19 years ago.
We've never been greedy, I don't think, in what we've asked for.
We've now lost another 14 jobs.
If I ask you who owns Burton's, what's the answer?
We don't know.
The world is tilted sideways, it's turning upside down.
This tunnel's taken us under the River Mersey to Moreton on the Wirral, where there's a factory. And down the years, it's produced such iconic British brands as Cadbury's Smash and Mini Rolls. But this story is about more than cakes and biscuits and instant mashed potato. It's about the future of trade unionism. And it's also about the mind-boggling workings of international capitalism.
Your feet felt like walking.
Burton's Foods, who run this place, have proposed closing it down with the loss of 342 jobs.
These are the placards that we're going to take to London with us when we go on the march.
These will be going down the embankment on March 26th.
They certainly will.
Explain when it says honour your agreement. What agreement needs honouring?
The agreement's by the company not to shut it until May 2012.
There's been several fights for the site. In 2001, there was a fight at the time, and we all ended up taking a 3-year pay freeze. And I'll say they came back in 2007 and we lost the 2 front blocks here.
If this wasn't a unionised workplace, how would the story of the proposed closure be different?
Well, I think we'd have shut in 2007.
This is Jack Jones' house here, the Liverpool HQ. Unite, the trade union, where there's a meeting about the alternative plan.
Be fining on its own 1.5 million. Thereabouts of overhead.
Burton's want to consolidate production at their other sites in Edinburgh and South Wales, saying that high overheads and overcapacity at Moreton, together with high cocoa prices, have led to losses at the factory over the last 2 years. Unite's proposals involve accepting further job losses in order to keep one last block of the factory open. The challenge they face is twofold. First, the site's high overheads, a result of production shrinking over the years, and second, the fact that a factory that was once built and owned by Cadbury's is now owned by a diverse group of investors.
That was the original structure of Burton's, everybody else, and they're operating in the Cayman. You've got 2 registered companies in the Cayman Islands. The chance of transfer? What, to the Cayman Islands?
Who actually owns Burton's then?
The main ones are Canadian Imperial Bank and Apollo Management, which is an investment firm. We're still trying to get to the bottom of exactly who's responsible.
Apollo are renowned for getting their capital back at a very early stage, so they don't wait around.
This place started, correct me if I'm wrong, it was opened by Cadbury's, who had, a much more sort of corporate social responsibility, community-minded approach to the way they organise the business. And over time, you're now at the mercy of what people like me call financialised capitalism, really.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, yeah, that's it in a nutshell, yeah.
We're told this is a time when the shifts change. So if you believe in the myths of the labour movement, is when a great big deluge of people will come out. Maybe a few, there's a trickle.
It was always a very happy place to work here. We knew everybody's name, all the people who came to work here. They were all local people, they were families.
You're talking about there in the past tense.
This was supposed to be the flagship and everything else. We've got, as you can see, a big factory. And they just took it off us all the time, chipping away.
We've never been greedy, I don't think, in what we've asked for. We've never striked here. I think they knew all along what was going to happen here.
Here are a few facts about this story. Burton's Foods is profitable. Last year, its directors' pay went up by an average of about 97%, and its highest paid directors' package went up by about 120%. More to the point, chocolate's recession-proof. When times are bad, people want to eat it. But it seems that's not enough.
Kraft, right? It's royalties or nothing.
The union receives news that Kraft, who now own Cadbury's, are squeezing Burton's bottom line even further.
There's actually 7,000 tonnes of liquid chocolate floating around in the business that goes to different companies. Yep. And they're now saying they want that 7% to be applied to that, which effectively means 3 tiers of profits. So because of Kraft's greed, we've now lost another 14 jobs. Yeah.
It was a bit of a bad one today. Trouble with chocolate.
Trevor has worked his way up to the job of team leader over 34 years, but has watched the plant decline from its heyday when it employed 5,000 people.
We've been waiting for this to close, I must admit. It's been hanging over our heads for the last 10 years. It's a downward spiral, isn't it? You know, there's 342 people coming out of jobs to the shops. They're all boarded up. Pub there. Used to be a cracking pub.
You met your wife at the factory?
I was 19 and she was 21. And then we started courting, and then our lovely little boys came along.
Are you Trevor's mum? I'm told you worked in the factory as well, right?
Oh, yes. Oh,
How long
yes.
did you work there for?
Gosh.
30 odd years, was it?
Yeah.
My eldest son, he's been there 10 years. Craig, he's been there 12 months, just over 12 months. I've been there 34 years. Handsome hunk there.
Starting to set up with my family, new home, new job, starting to get settled, and then the big bombshell.
He's got an honours degree.
I know I'll get a job. I've always had a job, you know. So, hopefully.
Well, you've got more of a chance than I have. Because I was saying before, wasn't I, about interviews and tests. I am absolutely dreading it. I am. I can't say my hand to anything else. I can make biscuits sound.
This is the internal of the factory and the two bits that aren't utilised for production purposes.
Back at Unite HQ, Richie is looking through photographs he took at the site last week to see if anything is salvageable for the union's proposal.
We were horrified when we walked in. In 2007 we signed an agreement with the company that the site would be maintained to enable it to become a centre of excellence. And this was the result of 6 change of ownership, all trying to drive profits out of the business. Even now, people refer to the site as Cadbury, not Burton's, because they like the association with Cadbury, they identify with the way they were treated. The guy who used to work with us, I knew him, he took a pride in wearing it. The whole area, it was the cleanest floor in the world, he polished the machine. As the site's deteriorated, and it's, you know, the refurbishment costs are just massive. So even to bring us back up to a position where we could start manufacturing without putting any plant or equipment in, it's going to cost, it's too much. So the site effectively has been killed. That was the company's war on waste. And they've ended up wasting the whole community's efforts really to keep a factory open.
Between meeting you yesterday and meeting you here, something quite dramatic's happened.
I know that my job's gone. I know after yesterday, and I know that we're going to be the first ones to go. We're one of the easiest to outsource. I mean, you can just easily go, right, from this day forward, you don't send your samples to Moreton Lab, you send them to this one. Bang.
It's beyond the comprehension of ordinary working people who committed their lives to something like this. Through no fault of their own, they've been asked each and every occasion, if you change, if you cooperate, if you do this, we'll invest, we'll deliver job security, and it's never materialised.
Is it difficult? I mean, sitting and having discussions knowing full well that the basis of those discussions doesn't involve your job?
I think I've got past that one. I think it possibly did at the beginning of the consultation process, but now it's just become something to try and retain as much as possible at Moreton for the community.
This tangle of owners and not knowing who is pulling the strings and so on. What does that do for trade unionism?
It drives the trade union to be international. And you know, Unite has set up links with our American trade unions to establish and exchange information. But again, you know, what action can American trade union take to assist workers over in the UK, and equally, what action can a UK worker take to assist workers in America? The power of capital and its transferability is unbelievable, and trade unions cannot keep up with that. There has to be regulation, there has to be legislation, better legislation, to protect the interests of workers.
Here's a little sketch of the way that modern capitalism works. The character of this changing world is indifferent to tradition, unforgiving of frailty, no respecter of past reputations. It has no custom and practice. It's replete with opportunities, but they only go to those swift to adapt, slow to complain, open, willing, and able to change. Tony Blair said that in a big conference speech about 5 years ago. But it strikes me that the forces he was talking about there are actually even nastier than that. And for a place like this, they probably spell doom. This is now a world in which the lives of people working at a biscuit factory on the Wirral can be torn apart at the behest of financiers thousands of miles away. Now, the big union organised demonstration on March 26th goes under the banner of there is an alternative. But if that alternative doesn't have an ambitious international dimension to match the way that business works, it's no kind of alternative at all. Come Christmas, when you get your big family circle type tin of biscuits,
Think of me.
a fair likelihood they'll be made in there. Think of you.